Okay, so now we're recording. Did anybody prepare anything special that they want to discuss today?
Nope.
Any? Okay. So I can just start off by saying that there is an ongoing debate. Maybe if you guys remember, I shared it with a couple of you during the last week about a need to define one unified logic for performing authentication and authorization. There are currently at least two solutions that are being used. One is the login plugin, and one is the authentication. Um, SSO or authentication authorization. I'm not sure what the final name, but the one is related to the CMS configuration with the authorization providers. And this is a requirement that comes up quite frequently from broadcasters with who own or who manage their own content, and there's a need to authenticate and to basically to log into their system in order to access the content. Sorry?
You said SSO and login.
Yes, so one is based on a plugin that is called Login Plugin, which is an interface that exposes some methods that can be used and can be utilized to log in when the app starts and perform different kinds of authentications. And the other one is related to having the ability to authorize the user for accessing paid content. So not necessarily paid for it, but rather to log in
One
order
is
to
more
get.
for content related. One is for the app.
Yeah, for general authentication. Although most of our usages. Yeah, there are different types of implementations that basically most of the implementations handle with the need to authorize access to content, but it doesn't necessarily have to be this way. And the common ground between all of them is the need to authenticate the user somehow using very frequently a username and password, but not necessarily. There are other types of authentication. So we've started a process. We needed it for the Discovery project, and we started a process where we involved also Yoni Austin in order to try to make a product definition of what needs to be done there. It's maybe simple to understand, but not necessarily simple to implement or to go at it. This is kind of a complex solution, although it's relatively easy to explain. So yeah, Yoni Austin took kind of ownership on the product side of things, and you might hear it more. It's called the Content Gateway module, because it handles both the authentication part and the authorization, and handles some things related to the storefront that we have that sometimes is involved in the process. So just a general notice. And for Discovery, we are actually implementing something that is a step in that direction. It's not the ultimate solution, obviously, but we are trying to.
So it will be like now we will have three options.
No, I think we're basically expanding the login plugin option. We're not changing anything in the authorization providers solution. Rather, we're kind of expanding the idea of the login plugin.
But the authorization providers is using the CMS?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically, you define the authorization providers on the CMS. But just as a general notice, it is very important to differentiate between the need to identify the user, which is the authentication part, is the part where the user tells the server, hi, this is me, this is my username, this is my password, and to identify who they are. And the authorization part, which is basically handles the permissions or the access to the content and whether or not an item can be accessed, basically. And there is a it's very easy to mix up and to combine these two, but these are two separate concepts. And this relies in the heart of the product definition that we had with Yoni Austin. So it's not too much to say further, but just for you all to know that
So
this
the
is something that's been going
storefront
on.
is a type of authorization?
Yeah, the
Okay.
storefront is the authorization for it.
Okay.
But it also includes the part where the user needs to authenticate.
Yeah.
But they are tied together,
Mhm.
but it's not the same thing, and this is the important part. Okay, so now we'll probably start the round where everybody is sharing what's going on.
I don't have a lot to share with you. Just working on hot. We duplicate the template for hot play. That's it. Nothing.
What
special.
template is it?
You're using templates, you're not using the UI builder.
No,
I know.
because we're having a template. I think 35, and it's exactly the same.
So
exactly the same. So
You are
why-
using it, or you're
No, we
You're
are.
duplicating to 38.
It's exactly the same. Just we are adding a text line in the
For that,
carousel.
you're duplicating template.
Because in Hotnext they don't want a text in the carousel, and Hotpay they want. So we just duplicate.
okay.
That's all.
Just working on bugs for the channel apps. Nothing major.
Anything to say about the A/B testing implementation, or it's
I don't
too
want to talk about it.
yeah, it's too soon. So yeah, there is an A/B testing requirement for ProSieben, and we started working with the product side, but it's currently very premature to have a real discussion about it. Once it's more formalized, we'll be able to share some more information.
I'm also, I don't have a lot of things that I did last week, but I started working back to Reshet a little bit. And try to improve the loading time of the React components.
By the way, did you talk to
What is
Francois?
this sounds
No.
interesting.
Because I think Francois is working
Talk
on
with
it.
them. Yeah.
Can you
I
say a few
saw
words about
like
it?
yesterday a small thing that I tried to improve. It's by saving each time we open activity of React Native page, we load the bundle every time that we are opening React Native page.
Okay.
So I started to change it a little bit to save the bundle once the first time that we open one of the pages, because the bundle
It doesn't change between.
no, it doesn't
Okay.
change between pages. It's same code. It's just a JavaScript code.
Okay.
And use it for all the pages that we open with React
And where are you saving this bundle?
on an external file.
Okay. And just accessing the file instead of loading
Checking
it.
if I have the file. If not, request it, and if I have it, use it.
You don't
Yeah,
need a special permission for it?
No, it's inside the
It's the-
data.
It's internal
Internal,
memory.
yeah.
You're not asking for an external permission.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. And
Okay.
Francois is also on this. Sorry.
No, I need to talk with him, ask him if it's a good solution or not.
I heard from Modi that Francois will work on it some days,
Okay.
but I'm
Yeah,
not
so-
sure. You also thought about how to update the cache.
Yeah, in this solution we will need to find a way to, because if we are saving the bundle, so next time that someone will change the bundle, the JavaScript code, it won't update the apps.
Yeah. It has to be.
Yeah, so
Expired
or only when clearing the cache and reopen the.
Or you can have maybe checking for differences. Like I don't know, if the file was changed or modified or whatever.
But then I need to download it.
Yeah, you have to.
But there's
make
a maybe there's a hash that you can use on
I
the
need to
file.
talk with Francois about it. To ask him.
There has to be a way
To
to
find a
identify
solution.
if
I thought about the solution, but now I think it's not so good. Maybe to have a silent push that will tell the app to check for an update. But what happens if the user cancels pushes for the app? It won't get any updates. But
And
that way you can have it like
Yeah.
forced by the broadcaster and not each time the app launches. So it will be much faster.
updating the bundle is related to the broadcaster in any way.
Yeah. Okay. For now, I don't know. If we will
For
have a
specific,
product that is
Okay,
an AI,
we need to think this through, but sounds like there is a way to identify differences without
Today
downloading
we
the
are
file.
downloading every time.
Every time that you open a page, you download the bundle.
When we open a page,
Each page, you download the same bundle from the S3.
There has to be an ETAG header, for example, a header to identify if the file was modified or not. There are ways to do it.
I mean, you can do it, but will it be much faster?
If you are using
I don't
an HTTP client,
Why we
it
cannot
will be
use it
cached
like in
automatically, I
session?
think, if you're using like
One-time
OKSHTTP.
No, you need to save the ETAG. You need to save the ETAG locally, and then check against the
to use the
next
same
request.
bundle in the same session.
What is a
okay.
session?
Session till the user close the app. Why do you to download it
It's
every
not the
time when
best.
we open
Because
it?
if
It's
it's
not
not
the best
changing,
solution.
if it's not changing between sessions, then you can save the
Yeah,
performance for next time also. If it changes only once per, I don't know.
Yeah, it won't happen.
It shouldn't be changed like between.
We download it every time we open a React Native page.
Yeah.
So
Of course, that in a specific session you can save it locally, or you can save it in memory. I don't know.
yeah.
But you can do it for more than a session.
Then one
Okay,
session. Yeah.
but
You need
we
to
Okay.
don't
think
have a
about
solution for now.
Okay, so this
Yeah,
is
I will
something
find
that
a solution for
Okay,
to finalize it.
but yeah, that sounds interesting and relevant for many projects,
Yeah.
I guess. Okay, good.
So for me, I also have not much to say. I have just finished working on the CAN video application, and now we moved back to Bellator to work on their custom player that they need. And that's all basically. I just got I'm playing with the. I need also, after finishing the player, I need also to get back to the SSO authentication for Bellator, and then maybe you can discuss the content, the SSO that you are working on.
Mhm.
So to see how can I use that if I can, this early,
Okay,
if it will be ready.
I'm not very familiar with the Bellator.
Okay,
requirements,
we
but-
will discuss it.
Okay,
That's it.
Okay, so I also didn't do a lot on the product level. It was more Reshet stuff. I did do a small thing. It was adding a home button on the navbar. It's so small, but it took so long because again this plugin interfaces. It's like every time you need to update the interface, and then you want to think about a workaround how not to update the interface, and if you do, you need to update all the plugins that will break.
You don't need to do it. You just need to notify them. Other regions.
No, it doesn't
territory.
matter who does it, but it still work from our developer side. So
why should it break? Because
sometimes
plugins will take. Yeah, you're changing an interface.
Yeah.
And plugins rely on that version of the interface.
Yeah.
They should implement this.
So as you said before, I have 3 or 4 sessions. We need to think about a solution because it's so not flexible. It's really hard to develop plugins or not
Yeah, but
the
what we
product
discussed
itself.
was basically separating the SDK, extracting the plugin manager and all the related interfaces from the SDK. But this issue will remain: how to handle a breaking change in the interface of that is used by a plugin.
Yeah.
But I guess that's we need probably to change the version of this plugin, and then this will happen a lot. I mean, it shouldn't happen too often, but it will happen that you have a plugin that works with a certain interface, but then you need to expand the interface or change it, slightly change it. This sounds like a scenario that might happen, and we need
And
We need
then
proper,
we need to think about a solution for that. I think there is one.
Yeah, sorry guys, can I step in? Because this is exactly what happened to me this morning, and it was handled very cool on both sides and always cool. So I think the key is just communication, communication, communication.
Adana, sorry, there is too much background noise. We did hear, but any chance to reduce the background noise a little?
Basically, I was just saying communication, and that's it. Then I'll mute myself. Did anybody get that?
Yeah, Adana is saying basically communicate in order to notify everybody that they're breaking change. But sometimes it's difficult even to determine who you should communicate such a change. We can send it in the Android Slack channel, but then we're hoping that everyone sees it and everybody's.
And
I mean,
also,
it's not sometimes it's not very good alert in these cases.
Also, in the future, it might not be even applicable to developers. It might be outside developers.
Yeah, that they will develop plugins. Obviously, not change the interfaces, but they will develop.
Yeah,
they should be
will
able
be
to develop
affected by
plugins.
it.
Be affected by it. Yeah, so of course communication is key, but we probably need some more technical means or more useful means for letting everybody know.
How about a red flashing alert?
Like what? Like sending a buzz to everybody's computers once such a change is done?
Yeah, like danger, danger.
You can create a new channel for breaking changes, and that's it. Also.
Okay. Moving on. Basically, what I said earlier is that the thing that got me busy most of my time in the last week was trying to define the correct way of doing the authentication versus authorization, or not versus, maybe together with the authorization, and trying to define the correct way to do it. We're moving on to not moving on. I'm switching kind of to another interesting project in the sports area. We have another sports customer in Germany that has an app that is relatively complex in terms of requirement. It contains a lot of data that is coming from external sources. It's a sports app that should show tables and matches and almost everything you would like to know, from all the data that you would like to know for different sports within the app. So it's going to be a complex project that involves a lot of external data and maybe components that we don't necessarily have at the moment. So I'm kind of looking at the requirement and trying to move it a little forward.
Are you planning to implement it via UI Builder?
That it has to be via UI Builder. There is no nearly any template that is even close to what they're trying to do there. And many of the components are not going to be built natively. It's going to rely on React Native in some areas. So yeah, it's going to be fun stuff. So I've started looking at it because it needs a better definition. Again, once we have some things more stable, we can share them further here in this channel.
How do you get the data from the data source adapter?
Yeah, we'll have to create a data source adapter. Basically, they have XML or JSON files actually that contain all the data. Actually, for people who love sports, it is kind of an interesting project because you can really get all the data that you want about any sports almost on their API.
Even Sha'arayim.
Not Sha'arayim, no. They don't do little leagues in Israel, but I think in Germany it covers quite a lot of leagues. This is recorded, by the way. You remember, right? Okay, moving on to you guys, Atanas.
Yeah, basically, I've been working on a feature for selecting the quality of the video in a player. So the player supports that. So I'm just adding interface in the wrapper, and yeah, just trying to understand what the feature is. So I have a pretty good idea what the feature is. The confusion came from HDSD, which is something different. HD versus SD is for television. It's for like when you want to get some videos from iTunes, for example. But in streaming, you don't have SD or HD. You have different alternates. So it is transcoded in the stream. So like you might have just one alternate, or you might have 2 or 3 or 5. And an alternate is a combination of bitrate and size. Yeah. So it's all cool now. I'm about 75% done. And yeah, we had a situation on Friday, but it was on iOS. So like, well, on Android as well. Yeah, we had a situation in that there was some change in an endpoint, which wasn't predicted. It was a side effect of something else. It was from an external provider, and then our CMS didn't handle it very nicely. Basically, the problem was that I was using an endpoint, and after a change by the third party, I started getting errors because the content had a header stating that it's XML, but actually the content was JSON. So I was expecting JSON, and I don't know where this XML came from. So the third party implemented a default header, which was like use JSON. However, we most of us probably know that the Atom feeds are, well, all of us, the Atom feeds, they are in XML. So there's a way to get the right type of content by specifying a header, like it was, yeah, I forgot the name of the header, but like you can specify what you're expecting, and there wasn't going to be any issue. But if you don't, then you might get the wrong content. So no Atom feeds for an app, both iOS and Android. And actually for Android, it was crashing because like it was indexed out of bounds. Yeah, no content, trying to display content, cells crash. And it was crashing not only when you try to get the Atom feeds, but also if you try to watch any live stream, because the content was prefetched. Yeah. And then there was some update function that was trying to populate the cells and display the cells, even though you weren't actually trying to open this view. And so it started crashing in real time, and like the downtime was for about 2 hours. And then we had another 2 hours of downtime for just displaying blank content, displaying no content, but without crashing and blocking essential features. So it was in fact amazing the way we handled this situation, and like Eden and Brand from support did really great. I mean, the whole situation was handled very professionally, in my opinion, and it was a minimal amount of downtime without any monitoring infrastructure, without anybody being in charge, just like collaborating together and solving the issue. and like I'm really happy because of that. I mean, I admit I've never seen it before, and I didn't expect that everybody can work in such a professional way. So I'm really impressed. And yeah, so that's me.
Okay, thank you. But just for everybody to understand, if people use Atom feeds, what they should look for or beware of?
So you know, there's our CMS, and our CMS you can configure a link, and this link is the link to an XML. Yeah. So this is configured somewhere. So you're opening this link. If you open it in your browser, you should be able to see XML with a markup. Yeah. But like it depends on the endpoint, the way it returns it, and if it says that it's JSON. This is gonna cause trouble with our CMS.
Okay, so the Atom feed, the format of the Atom feed, or what the header of the Atom feed said was not the way we would expect the Atom feed to appear. This was related to how the endpoint created the Atom feed.
Basically there are two parts of the story. So like it can be fixed in any one side, either the third party or the our CMS. And like basically you don't say JSON and say in the header that it's XML. Yeah, you just don't do that. There's no point. It's stupid.
And the result,
sorry, say it again.
Yeah, in Android you saw an index out of bound exception. So this is something that it can be identified relatively easily. If you encounter an index out of bound exception that relates to Atom feed, just check the format of the Atom feed and make sure that it's defined properly and not saying JSON where is it an XML.
Yeah, for me it happened when I was working on the CAN video. They sent an XML with the value. When they describe it, if it's a void or a link, it was like empty, and then it was causing me all the time a null pointer exception. So maybe we should work around that, where if it's null, we should skip that item and not crash the app. Maybe we should think of.
Yeah, that's an easy fix. Actually, we discussed with Ruben, and he said something that I think is very smart. Yeah. So like sometimes you just want the app to crash. Yeah. Not in this case. In this case, I didn't want the app to crash because I had an idea what was happening. But like sometimes you just want it to crash, and like I can explain this to you guys, and I know that you understand. Like I have a more trouble explaining this to iOS developers, because like if an iOS app crashes, that's the end of the world.
Yeah. Android guys.
Yeah, we understand. Sometimes it's good the app crashes unless the app is in production where we don't want it to crash. Basically, once it's still in development phase, it can crash on us so that we can understand if there's a problem and try to fix it.
The problem is that the client, who is the one who controls the XML, so you don't want him to be like forget to put value, and then the app in production the application will crash.
In these cases where there can be an input problem coming from external sources,
we should protect it.
We should be more defensive.
Yeah. So let me say what's the other part of the fix. So one fix is that you don't say XML, that you put in a header JSON, and like JSON that you say it's actually XML in the header. You just don't do that. But on our side, we can just add this header and just say to the endpoint, okay, we expect this content to be XML or JSON. Yeah, and this was the fix that we could have done.
When did you change the header? Like it's in this case. So did you add a property or something like that?
So it's the third party, and we are in we are in a good relationship, but they're a third party, and sometimes it's very tempting to start pointing fingers. Yeah. So it was a side effect of another thing that they did. Yeah. But like in any way, these things happen. Like nobody's safe from such things happening.
Okay.
Cool.
Great, thanks, Adanas.
No worries.
Okay, last but not least, we have Pablo.
Good morning, guys. Good afternoon. Well, I've been working on a couple of stuff during the last week. One of them was including the inline video player into the SDK, because I previously had it as an external plugin, but then I needed to include it in the SDK because the feed, depending on this, plugin directly, and then it was a mess. There was a cyclic dependency that couldn't, did not let the merge be possible. So the best idea was including in the SDK, and that's it. You have just one straight dependency relation from the feed to the SDK. And then I also have been working on the family 2 cell style of the UI builder, mainly UI stuff, nothing related to code, modes, XML stuff, and details. And basically that's it. I just wanted to ask if we have both guys in one of the apps, America TV Go, with the latest SDK, and it's something related to an extra method exception. I don't know if any of you have seen it before. Anyways, I will post the exception message to see if somebody can help. But yeah, that's all I
Yes,
got.
please do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. About the just to understand about the inline player implementation. So basically now the standard Applicaster player supports inline from out of the box.
Yeah, I probably go because I forgot to do it, but I need to put a section on the wiki of the SDK on how to use it. But it's basically any cell that you want to display a video, and of course the data source later on will be BOD or channel. You need to put a specific view. It's a relative layout. But it could be, no, yeah, it has to be a relative layout so far. Maybe later on we could change it to a more generic view, but for now it's a relative layout with a certain view ID. It's called video container or something. Once you put that in any of the cell, and the cell later on gets populated with the VOD, it will automatically place the video.
Okay, sounds great. But if you could have a short demo maybe next week for how to utilize this, because I bet people are understood, but it will be easier for people to
Customize
see.
it.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, that's
good.
great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Include the advertise and I don't remember
Analytics.
Analytics, probably, yeah.
everything that the regular player can do, the partial player, the inline player can do.
The thing with the inline player, it's a little bit different when it comes to analytics and this kind of stuff, because anytime, for example, since this plays in a list view, anytime you scroll off the list view or in, the video stops and plays again and this type of stuff. Also, handling advertising, it's a little bit complex, but it's kind of the same. The only thing is that now the interface of the inline player is just let's say like structure only for IMA. If we plan to use it with different providers, then we will need to extract it. But so far the implementation is just based on the IMA SDK from Google.
Just like the regular player. I don't think we have any other implementations of interaction. Yeah.
And yeah, that's basically it. I can do a section of the video player and explaining all the.
That would be great. Also, I like to see how it works. People will get a better feeling.
Customize it.
Yeah.
Could be good for next time.
Perfect.
Okay, great. Okay, great. Any other things people want to share? Say.
We
We want to go to Miami. I don't know.
Thank you. Important to know. Okay, so we cut it a bit short today, but I guess it's okay.
Yeah, good.
All right. So have a good day, everybody. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Guys, have a good one.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye bye.
Cheers.
Yeah.